Nah, it's just us in the room. That's all that matters. We fucking got this. Let's get into it. Alrighty, looks like we're live. So it is 11:57. So we'll do your intro and let's get going here.
All right.
Floor is well, yeah. So it's hold on. So it is first. About to start the RDN roller show. Everyone, I know there's probably like two or three people, in here, but this will be reposted everywhere to YouTube, or it's already on YouTube, but to our podcast streams, Facebook, all the social media networks and stuff. So right after this is done, you'll be able to see it there. The podcast version will probably be released sometime tomorrow or on Monday as well too.
Yeah.
So without further ado, it looks like, we want to get going.
Yeah. So just and to further that point, this will also be on the USAR's website as well. So if you're looking out for more information about Team USA and stuff, this will be on that website as well. So we're doing a live show today to release the senior men's roster. We just put the graphic up on both Roller Dad, USAR's account, and State Wars as well. So we're going to be bringing on Tim McManus, the head coach for the senior men's team. A little bit just, we've talked about it on probably the last like 4 or 5 pods about the National Development Program. So essentially what it is, it's a funded organization from current and former Team USA members, just helping to identify and develop players that are potential work with potential world-class abilities. So really just getting in there early, identifying
That a
players
mission statement?
basically is the mission statement itself. So we're going to be talking about not only the roster, which is going to be huge for the senior men's team, but also talk to Tim a little bit how he's going to be involved with the development program, how State Wars is going to evolve. So we're really going to cover a whole gambit of things here in this little interview and roster release. So I think it's pretty cool that Tim was able to carve out some time for us as well to go through this and kind of give everyone in the roller world something a little different, right? Talking about this men's roster in a little more detail, what goes into building the roster, the whole nine. So really excited to have him on and talk about Team USA.
First, Lorian, how are you doing on the East Coast, and where are you at right now? That's the question.
So yeah, not well. We did have an earthquake today, so we made a joke earlier about me baby being like a little bomb shelter, but this is actually like my little stall that I have up in my office. I keep all my
That
equipment.
was Tim's joke.
Yeah, it was Tim's joke, but yeah, just in my little locker room here. Got the USA stuff though. I wanted to do a little bit of a background, even though the plywood isn't the most appealing, but splints off. I'm ready to go and hopefully be able to play next week in Winter Wars.
Winter Wars. Who do you guys got for your first couple of games?
So first we play Blood and Feathers, then we have the Junior Black Ice team, and then we have the Roadies. So
You said
they're
Junior Black Ice team.
yeah, so it's basically like all the kids on their junior team. So a
Okay.
bunch of the younger kids, probably a mix of like the young Roadrunner kids and the young Black Ice kids. So there are a lot of kids from like PA on that team. So kids that I've coached like Aiden Boyle, they'll probably have Sammy Phillips, those kind of guys. So a couple of the young up and comers that are going to be eventually playing on probably the Unified Conics Black Ice team and Roadrunners moving forward. So
Okay. There you go.
round robin and then right into playoffs as usual. So
Okay.
getting
And that's at Marple, right?
at Marble Sports Arena. Yeah, we're doing a little skate tonight. We have 7 teams from NERC. Well, 7 teams like representing NERC, and then 2 other teams that play in our leagues that are there. So 9 total teams playing in the tournament. So it's been a
And it's
lot.
the few, right?
Yeah, we're going as the few, and then our senior men's teams and our junior team are going in as Advocate Athlete, which
All
is the
right.
advising company that
Who's
I have. So
who's on the roster?
for our team,
Yeah.
we have myself. I have Dave Christopher, who we've done some things with him in the past when we came out there for Pi. We have Huffnagel, Aaron Huffnagel, who played for Blood and Feathers at State Wars last year. He was part of that kind of like van thing we did at State Wars. We got Josh Stroh, obviously, is in net. And then just my usual suspects, Mike Carroll, Nick Foster. So guys that play on my Pi team. We really wanted to stick with our Pi team, add in a couple guys who couldn't play throughout the season, and kind of just add in DC, really.
All right.
And get them going. And we have a couple guys who are on that Deuces semi-pro team as well, where they're playing our draft league. So we're gonna give a couple guys their first look at pro as well. So
There we go. There we go. Well, good luck
Interesting.
at that. Well, let's Tim's in the waiting room, so let's bring on Tim
Yeah.
and let's get into this Team USA talk. State Wars 20 is coming up too in St. Peters, Missouri. Honestly, personally, one of my favorite rinks. I
Yes.
know it is hot there. I worked there one year and it was a blast. But the rinks are all nice. You know,
The
they're all
best.
huge, steel mat flooring. It's, you know, an unbelievable facility too, just the way it's all set up. So State Wars 20 is there, which is going to be exciting. So we're going to, you know, ask some questions about that, but then really get into Team USA and release that roster. So without further ado, let's bring him in.
All right. The man himself, Tim McManus,
Here we go.
getting connected. All right. There you go, Tim.
Welcome on, Tim. How's it going?
Good boys. How are you?
Doing good.
Doing good. We're doing good. So did you go through that earthquake that just happened in New York?
Yeah, I mean it was just like a little rumble for about a minute. We were sitting here and Greg and I looking at each other like, what the heck's going on right now? There's some construction going on in my block, so I thought maybe it was that at first, but it just everything was shaking for about a minute. And yeah, we found out it was an earthquake in New Jersey that everyone felt the little effects of all around New York.
That's wild. Yeah, I saw it on Twitter and like Instagram. People were saying like just all sorts of places in New York they felt a rumble, and I was like, it's
Yeah.
crazy. I don't think New York gets earthquakes.
No, I think that's something we always think of California. Why I would never want to live in California is because of earthquakes, and now we're getting them here. So New York's bad enough for other reasons. So just add it to the list, I guess.
Yeah, I think we had one like 10 years ago. I remember being down the shore and there was like a minor one. It's kind of similar, but that's the last I can remember. So definitely weird. I was like outside doing an estimate for work. So I was like, what's going on here?
Now you're in the bomb shelter, so
I'm in the I've moved to the bomb shelter. So
He definitely had that helmet on a couple hours ago, Rob. You know that, right?
yeah, for
I was
sure.
gonna do the whole I was gonna do the whole live stream with the helmet on, like not on the team anymore. I was gonna get fully suited up here, but try to keep it professional, I guess.
So Tim, you got State Wars 20 coming up. Is there anything like you can share with us that's like any surprises or anything like new you're going to be doing for this tournament?
Well, the biggest thing recently announced was that the PAMA Pro play-in series part of the PAMA Pro Invitational. So that's probably one of the biggest new things. And then our stuff that we're doing with the National Development Program and Team USA for the youth. So those are two pretty big things I'd like to touch on. And then, I think we're going to spend some months, Greg and I, just going through old photos and stuff through the years, and maybe for our program this year, put together some nice collages of pictures through the 20 years of, there are guys that started out with us at 6, 7, 8 years old that are now having kids playing at State War. So it's pretty crazy. Makes me feel old.
It's crazy. I remember like first team Colorado 2005, the Schaefer's, Wes Schaefer from Colorado. He's been to like, I just remember from the start. So we were talking about hopefully going there, putting in a team, especially with that PAMA Pro Qualifier. Is that something that you can like elaborate a little more on and what that exactly is?
Yeah. So the reason it came about, first off, every year we get teams that contact us that want to play in the PAMA Pro, and, we limit it, it's an invitational. So we take 8 teams that qualified last year, the top 8 get an invite back. And then we've allowed 4 other teams to come in to make 12. And it's difficult because every year, I mean, Anthony's been in the shoes with this, guys apply, they send us a roster. Sometimes roster, we'll get 3 rosters from 3 different teams and 4 guys are on all 3 rosters, so guys don't even know who's on their team. And then we have to, on paper, compare teams to say this team's better than that team. This team has this guy. He's better than that guy. And it's so difficult. And honestly, it becomes tough for me because you have friends sending you stuff. You have sponsors asking to get involved. And it just puts you in a really bad spot about making decisions. And you really just don't know. So we decided to heck with it. Now it's going to be teams play each other and they could make it themselves. So what we're going to do is the day before PAMA Pro starts, we're inviting 8 teams to it. We're going to have 2 even brackets of 4 teams. Everyone will play 3 games that day. So one day, 3 games. You'll play everyone in your bracket. And then the winning team of each bracket is going to move into the PAMA Pro the next day and be the 9th and 10th team. And we're only going to limit it to 10 teams in PAMA Pro this year, which is kind of where I want it to be anyway. And then the other 6 teams that didn't qualify will continue to play out their own another game and then playoffs, and they'll play for a tier 2 pro championship, which we're going to give probably a $2,500 money prize for that for those guys. So they'll still get their games in if a team's coming far overseas or whatnot. They'll still get the same amount of games, probably even one more game than everyone else. And then the other 2 will go to the PAMA Pro to play. And, we looked at it 2 ways. In one breath, they played 3 games already. You could say, wow, they're going to be tired. But the other thing is, they got 3 games to get going, which is kind of, I know our sniper guys always wish they had that. So it's kind of a nice head start before other teams get warmed up. So I think it's going to be really interesting. And what I really love about it is then the PAMA Pro becomes 10 teams, 2 pools of 5. You play everyone in your pool now. And now the top 3 of each will advance, with the winner of each pool getting a bye through the first round of the playoffs on Sunday, which will be huge. And then you'll play the matchups with the other 4 teams, and then the semifinal and the championship. So it's going to be wild, I think.
Man, that's a breathful. You got that rehearsed down, but I think when people saw it at first, I think one of the cool things for those teams who don't get in, just touching on it real quick, is that they still are playing for something. And I think that was like maybe kind of the bigger challenge when people used to think about, oh, there needs to be a qualifier tournament. Because even when we did Summer Slams in the past, it's tough to get California teams or Midwest teams to come to New York for like a Summer Slam. So this kind of solves it all, because one, St. Louis right in the middle of the country, which is great. And it's right before PAMA Pro starts. So you're playing, really just going out there an extra day early, right, to compete and hopefully get into the PAMA Pro. But if not, then you're still playing for a tier 2 championship, which, all things considered, is still going to be very, very competitive at the end of the day, right? If these are teams that are being accepted into that first 8 pool, right, it's still going to be a very competitive division.
Yeah, and we had to think of teams like Team Sweden, like they'll probably come out again, and they didn't qualify, so I can't have them come out for one day and then not make it if they didn't, and then be done. Like, so we had to figure out, all right, how can we make it still fun for the guys coming, which this will be, because if you can't qualify, then you'll play in the tier 2, which no shame in that. Yeah. At least you're playing. But yeah, it's I think it's a great way to do it, and I like the way of going to 10 teams in PAMA Pro. It just eliminates 2 teams that were at the bottom, so it's just going to make those round robin games, which are already pretty intense, now just a step above.
Is so with the PAMA Pro qualifier, can you play with the senior AA as well too? And with a qualifier team? Yeah,
it's funny. This just came up yesterday. So we decided what we're going to do is, with the PAMA Pro teams and the PAMA Pro Invitational, those 10, it'll still be the same rules. But for the guys that play in the tier 2, any of those guys, unlimited, would be allowed to still play with the senior AA team if they didn't qualify for the big dance.
Okay.
So because you're not playing in PAMA Pro technically,
correct, right? You're playing in a pro tier 2 division, which
is cool, because a lot of those guys do hang out for the week and then compete in the men's division the following week. And if they're younger, maybe they're playing juniors and stuff like that in between. Correct. You can get a lot of hockey out of it, is what it sounds like. So
yeah, basically.
I didn't want a guy also to say, oh, I don't know if we'll qualify. I want to try it, but I don't want to lose my spot on my AA team because of that. So it still gives them that chance to do both if possible. And then if they qualify, great, but it's going to be intense. And I love the idea of the pool in PAMA Pro Invitational, everyone playing each other, where before it was 2 pools of 6, so everyone didn't play one team. And then I love the idea of the winner of each pool getting that bye the first, because it makes it so huge to get that bye. Because you guys know how tough the quarterfinals can be. I mean, it could be a Snipers, PAMA, or a Car Shield, Black Ice quarterfinal, so to get the bye that first round is huge. So I think it adds a lot of excitement to it.
Yeah, it makes that round robin play even more important, right? If you're, in that last game where sometimes, maybe it doesn't really mean much. This time it could mean something. It can mean getting that bye for that first seed and not having to play an extra game, which saves the body and everything. Yeah,
and I'm real excited too. The French national team is coming out. So they're taking the spot of Mars Blade. So Mars Blade team disbanded. So they had a qualified 8 spot.
That's some breaking news.
Yeah, I figured that was out there. I didn't mean to say.
Yeah, well, I mean, I
Yeah, so they don't have a team anymore. So Team France is coming in to take that spot. And Anthony knows from playing them in Buenos Aires. They gave us a real tough bronze medal game.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how they adjust to big rink. big nets, a little more physical game, how we play out here and whatnot. But they're a really good team, real fast, real aggressive. So it's gonna be exciting to see them part of the PAMA Pro, one of the best teams in the world.
And they're going to be, that's pretty much the same exact team that's going to be going to the World Championships too, that Team USA will be going to.
Yes, they're
Is
kind of
there
using this as warm up. Yep.
any thought about doing like a scrimmage or anything with the USA players in France while they're here?
A little friendly.
Yeah, a little friendly.
Oh, during the PAMA Pro?
Yeah, like just,
10
10 o'clock at night before the
Put them
tournament
on the
starts.
spot. Put them on the spot.
What we are doing though is the day after PAMA Pro, so that Monday, all the players are sticking around. We're going to do 2 practices at State Wars, a morning skate and an afternoon skate, which is going to be open to the public. And we're going to do probably a little meet and greet with the kids and whatnot to meet the players, which I think will be really cool for the sport and for the kids and the players. And we're going to get 2 practices in there while everyone's there. Before we go to World Championships, which you never, and as Anthony knows, like we get there and it's like, wow, we got to practice.
One practice.
We'll give you 1 practice, which is not much. So we'll have 2 before we go, which is nice. And yeah, I'm excited for that too, just for the environment at State Wars for these kids and parents to see that going on. I think it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be really exciting. That'd just be cool to see and spectate too, just even as like a player too and as a fan, to see that happen. So let's get into it. I think Anth with the USA talk.
I mean, perfect segue into just kind of talking about the National Development Program. We just kind of discussed what it's all about. So from like your side of things, what do you think the NDP as a coach, right? Someone who's involved in the board and decision-making process, what do you think the NDP is going to bring to players moving forward, whether it's at the junior level or the senior level?
Yeah, I mean, you said it earlier, just to be in that pipeline and start getting recognized. Like, I think what happens is, talking to Darren Goodwin, who's coaching the junior team, he's doing a great job of trying to reach out to players all around the country, and he's talking to people about players and whatnot. And it's so hard because there are so many great players out there that you don't really know. The pro guys, guys are playing in the PAMA Pro, guys are playing Narch Pro, guys are playing Taurus Pro. Like, these guys. So, but the younger kids, you don't really know. And sometimes it's just, that guy who pushes his kid on everyone, people know, but other kids don't have that advantage. So this allows kids to be seen and known a little bit. So what we're doing at State Wars this year is the other part I want to mention is, so we're doing the Team USA NDP showcase. And what we're doing that is going to be for 8U, 10U, 12U, 14U, and 16U. And the day after their birth year, the older birth year of that group ends at State Wars, the next day, we're going to do a showcase, and we're picking Team USA West, Central, and East. And all 3 of those teams are going to each play each other that next day. So 2 games each, just 2 games. And they're going to take a big team picture, all 3 of them together. And they're being recognized as the best players in those regions. And again, that gets them in that pipeline. So now there's a kid who, say he's 8. He's playing in that next year. Maybe he's playing as a 10U. 2 years later, he's playing as a 12U. By the time he gets to junior men's, he's on that list of guys that we're talking about with junior men's age group, because we know the name. And yeah, maybe he's from, I don't know, South Carolina, but his name's out there now because he's been playing in this. So he's known, and it's allowing him to be part of something. So we're doing that for all those age groups. We're using that as a nice little building process. And those players are being selected by kids that made Team World the year before at State Wars are being invited. And then our coaches, scouts in different areas are going to be nominating players to be added to those teams. So we've already started announcing some of the kids from Team World. So kids, parents are pumped, obviously, about it. And then hopefully next year, we'll start inviting some other countries to do that as well. We'll get Canada, we'll get some of the other countries in, and now make that a little bit of an international showcase for our USA kids to play other countries. And it could be really sweet.
That'd be sick. Just getting the international involved and just playing each other. That'd be really cool. As a player that's looking to make that as like an 8U, a 10U, 12U, what are you looking for in a player? Not just like the goal scoring, the assists. Like, what are you looking for as a player that can, get selected for that?
Yeah, I think, anyone that's a good coach knows that you can't just win with 8 goal scorers out there. You need defensemen, you need guys that move the puck, you need smart players. So, we're always looking at all that, right? It's not just a kid that goes out there. I've heard people say before, like, oh, that kid's dad told him not to pass it all. He's got to win the high score or he's got to make the All-Star team. And I hate hearing that. Obviously, the kid's scoring 50 goals in 4 games, he's probably going to make an All-Star team. But, as they get older, we all know that when everyone gets better at the game, the kids that don't play smart and move the puck and do other things just don't become top players anymore. Like, you can't do it all yourself. So we're looking for well-rounded players. And I think hockey IQ is the biggest part of it. Guys that really think the game right. You see that young kid making that extra pass, making a great defensive play, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we're looking for these young players, and just nurture them. And, at the showcase, they'll have good coaching there. They're going to be playing with other good players. So you'll see the bar raised with all that. And I think it's really great for the parents. Everyone's always so big about ice hockey, just to start learning about, these avenues to take in roller hockey, that there is, a Team USA, there is college roller hockey, there is, a PIHA, there's different things out there to do in the sport, where they sometimes think it just, you got to play ice hockey to do anything, which is not true.
And what I think is cool, you said that you touched on it earlier, is the fact that there's going to be scouts and different people who are affiliated with Team USA in all these different regions. So if you are playing in a PIHA or you are playing in the NCRHA, you're going to have different eyes on them, and which is going to help with the whole selection process, right? Being able to reach out to someone in, the middle of the country and say, hey, we have an inquiry about this player. Do you know anything about them? Can you go out and look at them? They're playing this weekend, whatever it is. So with that being said, like, you kind of touched on a little bit, but the selection process, can you just go through what the selection process is like? I mean, I guess this would be more pertained towards the senior men, which is a little easier because most of these guys are competing in all the pro tournaments. But can you just touch on what the selection process is, like who's involved in it, things like that?
Yeah, so I mean, it's obviously very difficult, especially, now world championships are every 2 years. So, me personally, I obviously at State Wars, we're watching, the PAMA Pro is known as the toughest division in the sport, right? So I watch every game there. I'm watching players. I've gone back and watched video of games. We have everything kept. And we're really trying to find, the next best players. We're always trying to get a little younger, trying to find different guys, and knowing the biggest hurdle of all of it is, who's going to play good with who. Like, there might be someone who might be just as talented or better than someone else, but if the other guy plays really well with someone and the third guy, you don't know how he's going to play with anyone, it makes it difficult, so you're kind of picking. Well, what I do is I try to pick three foursomes of how we want teams to play, and who's going to play with who. And, and then, Greg Thompson's my assistant coach. Dan Maxwell's helping us out as well this year. So we have had hours of conversation about that. Then I've reached out to, different coaches in the PAMA Pro division to ask them about players they've on their team, about players they've played against. We look back at world championship results, from 2 years ago in Buenos Aires when Anthony played. I don't really get involved too much with talking to players about players. I don't think that's like the right way to go. But I'll talk to some coaches, and and then obviously you're only selecting guys that apply. There's plenty of good players out there that don't even apply to play, so those guys aren't even in consideration. You're only looking at the guys that actually applied, and yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how the process goes in a nutshell. But I can tell you that I've pulled a lot of hairs out over the last 2 months going over players, and I could show you papers here with names crossed out and changed and back to someone. It's not easy.
It's like one of those detective boards with the strings going all over.
Yeah.
And you're like the roller hockey Herb Brooks talking to the
Yeah,
kids
it's
everything. So
Like the Sonny and Philly kind of thing, looking
yeah,
around,
exactly.
with
That's
everything
perfect. Yeah,
pinned.
that's what I was thinking. But it is. I think you did touch on a good point. And I'm glad you said that, is that you have to apply first, right? And I think even just putting in your application is a step in the right direction as a player, whether you think you're going to make it or not, because you're putting yourself out there and putting yourself on your radar, the selection committee's radar, right? At the end of the day, if you don't apply and then you say, oh, I never got selected, well, you got to take that first step. And that's a process in itself. Like when we went to Buenos Aires, you had to take the safe sport test, all that kind of stuff. It's not just showing up and playing in a tournament. It's a commitment months before you even have to play, not just the physical side of things of being, in shape and ready to play, but also doing all the things that are required from World Skate, right? So it is a different process. And I'm glad you did touch on that, because you have to apply yourself first to even, get a look at being in there. And then that selection process begins and you vetting everything out. So I'm glad you did mention that.
Yeah, and part of the process too is I have to think about, hey, every guy that I select, and I got to mention too, I make suggestions. So I say, this is who I think the team should be, and this is who I think the alternates are. And then there's a selection board that oversees that, and they can make changes if they choose to, or they can say, okay, thumbs up, you're good to go. So I don't have all the say in it. I have, some say, but there is a checks and balances to it. But I'm putting my stamp of approval on every player, saying I trust in this guy. I want to bring him to another country. I want him to represent Team USA. And I give the same speech every year. And you heard it last year, 2 years ago, Anthony. Of, hey guys, we're the top 12 players in the country asked to play on this team, and coaching staff. Like, what an honor! Like, we have to really embrace this and treat it as such. So if there's guys who you're unsure of, maybe you see them at State Wars or at Norwich or at Tours or at a regional, and they're kind of acting like knuckleheads. It's hard to go with a guy like that, because now you're worried about that. Or if there's a guy who you've heard rumors is just not maybe a great teammate or a great team guy or coachable. And you know how it goes. We live in a small world of our group of roller hockey that people talk, so you got to think about all that stuff. Or if there's someone who just is, a big partier or whatnot, and then you got to worry about bringing him overseas, and maybe he's getting someone else in trouble that's not like that. There's a lot of factors to it that are difficult. Who's a lefty? Who's a righty? Who's going to be on your power play? Who's going to be on your penalty kill when that game's 2-1 with 1 minute left against whoever? Who's going to be on that rink? Who do you want out there? Like, you're thinking about this stuff. Goalies, you need two good goalies. One guy can go down. Are they going to get along with each other? How are they going to mesh? How are they going to handle not being the superstar of the team? Not everyone, when you pick Team USA, every guy, chances are, on their team is the guy. He's on the power play. He's on the rink, a minute left. He's on the penalty kill, maybe, he's the guy. And on this team, you can't have everyone being the guy. So who's going to be able to accept that, hey, I'm on the third line, and that's okay. Some guys can't handle that. So it's really difficult to think about all of that. And then I've tried to spread the love around the country a little bit too, that if there's some players in different markets that I think are pretty good, trying to, see if we can include guys from different parts of the United States that are, I don't want 12 guys from New York or 12 guys from California, so it's not a simple process. It's not a perfect science. And, you probably could pick 5 different pools of players, of teams, and have a chance to do well over there. So, it's just a matter of picking the right guys. Like you mentioned Herb Brooks, picking the right guys. That's the tough part.
That's the best guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially just like there's so much, pro roller in America is just, it's at its peak. There's so many, with State Wars, the PAMA Pro Invitational, and you have the, the tier 2 now, the skills there. So there's so many players that, I'm assuming should be applying. So being part of that committee, being the head coach, having to make that decision is just like something I would never want to be a part of. Just because, like you said, you have to take all that account for. 2 questions, Tim. First, where'd you get that polo? That polo is, it's fresh polo. Is that the official Team USA ones?
Yeah, we wore these in Buenos Aires.
Okay.
Yeah, put them on a nice little Bauer polo.
There we go.
Yeah, this was our logo. I liked it.
Yeah.
Figured wear it on an occasion for Ted. Took it out of the closet for today for you guys.
There we go. And second question: with having rinks international, or even when you guys played in Alabama, do you get to find out how big that rink is or what that rink looks like? And does that take into account with what kind of player you're getting as well too?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, we do our research. Obviously, we ask. Because unfortunately, you never know what you're going to get into. What kind of floor is it going to be? How big is the rink? Is there air conditioning? So in Rockarasso, I've been told that the rink is pretty full sized. And my question then was, well, sometimes in the past, they've actually been as crazy as to bring in boards and make a big rink smaller for the event. And my understanding is they're not doing that. It's going to be a full rink, which is great. So yeah, when I'm thinking of players, if there's a guy who's a speedster, maybe if the rink is really small, I'm not worried as much about him. Maybe I'm looking for a more of a puck handling control guy. But if the rink's bigger, I want to get some speed too. So it definitely, I think, adds to the thought process of who you want to go with for sure.
It's always a fun experience getting to that rink on the first day for your first practice and stepping on the floor and being like, is it slippery? Is it sticky? Like, what's going on here? Is there netting instead of glass? Like, there's so many different things that the internet besides the nets, right? And the nets are a huge thing too. And I think, you were talking about the goalies. One of the cool things is, with goaltenders, it's a different game as well. So, knowing someone that you could trust on the smaller nets where there's different holes, different areas to shoot, that's always a big thing too. Guys who are experienced with, playing on those small nets, that's huge. I think just, from personally playing goalie in the past and, shooting on them on those nets. So,
yeah, I mean, two things I think about is one, who has played with these nets before and has played this kind of game, and knowing how the refereeing is, the calls and whatnot. We've dealt with that against Team Italy last year, 2 years ago. And also who's playing a lot. Like there's some guys that are on their wheels all the time. They're playing overseas or they're playing all these tournaments all the time, and they're playing where, let's face it, there are some guys you get older and you get a job or you get married or you have a kid and you don't play as much and you're still a great player, but you're just not skating enough, and you gotta have guys that are in shape and are playing, so, and then also because of this tournament in September, ice hockey is a factor. So there are some players that are playing, high level ice hockey, maybe NHL, maybe AHL, maybe, you don't know, overseas, maybe like that. It conflicts that time period. So we're limited to some guys that we can't even ask because of that, because we know that they can't go. So that's part of the problem. When it was in the summer, it was great because everyone could go, but then you worried about, is it during state wars, is it during tours, is it during March? So the fall is better for that, but you definitely lose some of the ice guys. But luckily for us, we have a good pool to pick from, even besides those guys.
Absolutely. Well, I think talking about the players, let's just get into the rosters right now. What I'm going to do is put up the little slideshow and we'll go through the players, and if you want to talk about each player, we can. But yeah, we'll have the slideshow of the players.
Let's go. Roll the tape.
Roll the tape. Give me 1 second.
Get the Polaroids out, Rob.
Yeah, I got the Polaroids.
I'm just gonna hold it in front of the camera like this.
We're just gonna go like this. Nah, give me 1 second. Alrighty. So share the screen. Don't want to share the whole thing yet.
Big truck just drove by my house and was rumbling. I was like, "Oh my god, is it an earthquake again?" That's going to be happening all the time now.
Well, I got Charlie moving stuff downstairs. It feels like an earthquake too. He's slamming everything around. Surprised you guys haven't said anything yet, to be honest.
Alrighty, can you guys see that right there?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Alrighty, well, let's get into it. We're gonna go forwards, defense, goalie.
Okay.
Coach.
I got to go through my head of, we went back and forth with so many players, make sure I remember who we have. Okay.
Yeah, well, luckily, Grob's really good with the graphics, so you can just kind of gear it towards the screen. So first up here, forward Jack Holmes, who's played on the team several times before. So just tell us a little bit about Jack Holmes as a player. You coach him with the Snipers, obviously. So just tell us a little bit about why he is a player that, you ultimately selected for Team USA.
Yeah, I mean, Jumbo Combs, his name says it all. Big boy, strong, one of the best around the net, soft hands around the net, strong, good lefty on the power play, leadership. He's a winner. He's done it so many times, and every time with Team USA that I've coached him, we've brought home a gold medal. He's been a big part of it, and just that character guy in the locker room. Guy who could tell guys what they want to hear, what they need to hear. And, you play those teams like the Czechs and some of these big boys, you need a guy who could punch someone in the nose around the net too. And he's that guy. You need someone who's tough. And he's definitely that guy. So no brainer to me, good face-off guy, and just a winner.
I was literally just going to say that one of the best guys on the face-off in these tournaments and in just roller in general, the puck possession is a huge part. So if you can start with that puck, he's one of those guys who will get you that puck on like important draws and things like that. So definitely a good selection there as far as the first four that we're going over. All right, next up, the rat himself, Billy Piscali. So I only say that because I'm tired of playing against him every other weekend. But Billy,
just lit our team up in Pie Hot too.
Yeah,
so
he's a rat in the best way, and he knows I mean that in the best way possible. But obviously, being from New York, you could see a lot of Billy, right? So just tell us what you think of Billy as a player.
I mean, Billy's just phenomenal. And it's funny because him and Jack have been a great pair together as a line in the past. Another great face-off guy. Billy's just, the guy that, can do it all. He's a Swiss Army knife, right? He's on the power play. He's on the penalty kill. You want him out there, end of a game. He's clutch. He's arguably one of the top 2 or 3 best two-way players in the game. I don't ever seen anyone back check and do a quick little stick check, steal the puck and turn back the other way like Billy.
Yep.
Another winner, Black Ice obviously has won a ton of tournaments with him. It's back to the old days when he was just a 92 New York kid playing, or Black Ice, in the young ranks, 16U, 18U, D1, everything. And then as a pro player, he's been phenomenal. And he's a no-brainer again for me. And another good leader in the locker room. Quiet, Billy's not a rah-rah kind of guy. When he speaks, everyone listens because he doesn't speak a lot. So it's probably because, Muro's always yelling at him. Doesn't get a chance to talk much on that team. But, he's a quiet guy, but he says important things when they need to be said, and players definitely respect him. And I love having him on Team USA.
He's definitely a player that leads by example on the ring too. Like, he'll block a shot with his face. Like, he's that guy who will go down and, like you said, probably one of the best two-way players in the game, considering you could trust him on the PK and then put him out there on a power play to get you one if you need one. So definitely a great selection there with Billy Piscali.
What about me?
All right. So someone who's making their way back to Team USA this year. I think he's had the past couple of years. I've definitely seen him, I'd say, get more into the roller scene again and really take it seriously. So we got Itan Shavera.
He has his own rink. What do you mean?
And he has his own rink. Yeah. So he's really diving full in. We were able to go out there. So, but he hasn't been on the team the past couple of years, and whether it was because, whatever timing and everything, but back on the team this year. Tell us a little bit about Itan.
Yeah, I mean, he's got his own dojo. How do you not take him, right?
Yeah,
I got to say, I'm excited for everyone, but one of the guys I'm most excited to have on the team for the first time and be the first time I'm ever on a bench with a player is Itan. Real excited to have him. You said it. He's been around a long time. He's one of the older guys going to be on the team. He played for Team USA many times in the past and hadn't played for years. I feel like there must be a fountain of youth, in that dojo, because he's turned it around where all of a sudden he's one of the best again. He was always one of the best players, and maybe for a bunch of years he was, good, but not the best. And now suddenly watching him play out at Winter Wars West, he was a beast out there. You can make an argument when he's on and has his A game, he's as good as anybody in the sport. Great goal scorer, just so magical with the puck. Creative, great hands, tough. He's strong. I don't know if people realize how strong Ethan is physically, like, laying a shoulder into someone and banging. He's not a soft player by any means. So I'm real excited. And, he scored one of the biggest goals in PAMA Pro history 2 years ago for PAMA. So after that, I was like, we got to start looking at Ethan again. He's got his game back, but real excited to have him.
He's a guy too. So talking about that goal, we talked about when we interviewed him. He worked on like a kind of play similar to that with like his rebound, rebound tool that he has. And he's a guy who works off the rink too. So, he's going to be putting the time in at the dojo before, the whole year. So he's another guy that you could rely on. Is always going to be in shape, be ready to play at any moment. And it's cool because he is one of those original USARS guys who used to play on the teams back in the day. We haven't seen him in a few years. Now he's making his way back. So it's a cool little success story, I think, seeing him come back into the mix of things.
Yeah, I think, before you change it, Rob, with him, I mentioned earlier about guys that are on their skates a lot and on their wheels a lot. And he's that example, right? With that dojo, he's probably on his skates 7 days a week, which normally a guy, over 35, you don't think of that anymore. But that's his business. He's on his skates. He wants to be that role model for these kids he's training and whatnot. I think it means a lot to him to be on Team USA again for them. And I just know he's going to be in shape and ready to go when we get there. So very excited for him.
It's it's kind of weird to say, but a lot of these players too that are on this team, looked up to Eton growing up, because he was like, the original YouTuber of, roller hockey, posting videos with Dangle Productions and that. And he really, I feel like, escalated the game just, on, social media before social media was even a thing. He was really doing that. So it's, that name on USA again. It's pretty sick to see.
Yeah.
100%. All right, so moving along here, we're going to the Swiss Army knife himself, Mr. Tyler Kraft. I got to give props to Crafty. He went to my high school. We've known each other. I've known him since he's been yay big. So Crafty is, played for you on several USA teams before. One of the, probably again, best two-way forwards in the game. We're one of the best players with the puck and decision making. So obviously you've coached him plenty of times now. Tell us something about Crafty, that you really like in his game.
Yeah, Tyler is someone that, since 2005, first year of State Wars, Team Pennsylvania, that 95 team that everyone always talked about, that was unstoppable for years. And he was not even the best player the first bunch of years on that team that everyone even talked about. But he's gotten better and better and better. And now he's obviously one of the best players in the game. So smart. We talked about hockey IQ earlier. He's one of the smartest players on the rink. And that's what I think makes him so special. He makes everyone better. He's a great teammate. Guys just love being around him. He's, I don't think I've ever even heard him raise his voice at someone else on the team. He's such a positive guy. He loves the sport. Again, I know being on Team USA means a lot to him. I was proud to be the coach that brought him on back in Barcelona in 2019 when he came for the first time on the team, and he scored some big goals then. And, he's got to be on this team for a while, I think. And, just being able to make other players better on the rink is such a huge compliment. Reliable defensively. He's well deserved to be on the team, and another winner, like we said, as a Black Ice player, has won a lot of championships. And I think people forget how important being a winner is, and it's not just something that's lucky. Like, certain guys win, and some guys don't. And Tyler's definitely a winner, and proud to have him.
Perfect.
That 95 team, one of the most winningest teams in State Wars history, right?
Yeah, what's funny with that team is they tied or lost. I think they tied their first game ever at State Wars, or lost. It was to North Carolina. I can't remember if they lost or tied, but they didn't win their first game ever. Then they won every single game after for how many years? 10 years or whatever. And then they lost their last game to Ontario in overtime in the championship their last year as 95s. So the bookends of those two, and then they won every game between. So incredible team. They had, Tyler was a big part of that, and his dad coached it for a little bit towards the end. When they lost that, I thought his dad was going to jump off a bridge. Oh my gosh. His dad would call me before State Wars every year for hours on the phone, just talking about what teams are in the 95 division, who's on this team. He would get so into it. It was great.
That's how Kraft is too, though. Like,
yeah. We talk to Miro all the time about Kraft when he's building these like Black Ice rosters for like the winter events and stuff like that. He's making phone calls in like September for his tournament in February. You know what I mean? Getting contracts signed and things like that. So you gotta give a tip of the hat there for the dedication that he has. So surprised he wasn't involved in this roster. You know what I mean? So
he asked. Trust me, he would call me. I'm like, Tyler, not telling you. Can you let me know who's on the team? Nope, not telling you. But yeah, he was our director of the year, state director of the year at State Wars last year with the work he did in Florida. Got Florida rejuvenated, getting more and more kids playing, and it's great what he's doing down there as well. So yeah, excited to have Crafty back.
Yeah, huge shout out to his tournament, doing a great job down there.
All right, so someone we have talked about a lot as a guy we'd love to see on the team, and then he got his first crack at it in Argentina, is Nick Delamorte, one of the probably best pure goal scorers in the game right now from the Tour Roadrunners. So Della, one of the younger guys, you talked about it earlier, Tim, getting maybe some of the youth involved in this program and giving some of these younger guys a crack at it. So what did you see from Della at Argentina?
Yeah, so I think Argentina was a perfect example of a guy like him got an opportunity, which maybe he wouldn't have if everyone could have went, in all honesty. So he got a chance as a young player. And I've been saying so often that got to get younger. We got to get younger. We got to start infiltrating some younger players into this team for the future. So he came out to Buenos Aires, and I knew Nick, he's been a State Wars kid his whole life from New York. I didn't know him really well though. I always heard good things about him. And, I loved him by the end of the trip. Great personality. I think he was our leading scorer at the tournament.
Yep.
So I kept telling Greg, I'm like, how do we not ask this kid back? He led the team in scoring at the last World Championship. He scored in the game we lost to Italy in the semifinal. He was such a clutch player the whole time. He loves it. I know he's 100%, invested. When he gets there, he's focused. He's probably the pickiest eater in the country.
I was just gonna say that.
He'll only eat chicken fingers or
fries.
what else does he eat in there?
Grilled
Everything
cheese,
is so plain. What was it?
Yeah.
Oh, mac and cheese, right? Was it mac and
Grilled
cheese?
cheese, mac and cheese. His diet, the fact that he, plays how he does with his diet is actually more of a tip of the cap to him. But I think another thing, and you'll probably get to this, he's such a good locker room dude too. Like when we were playing two touch before games, he was by far the worst, but he still like hung in there and, and hung around with the boys. And like, he made a joke of it a couple times. Like he got blasted pretty hard the one time with the ball. Like,
Yeah.
he was just he's like a good feeling around them. You know what I mean? Kind of like that golden retriever energy almost. So definitely a good guy to have in the locker room too.
Yeah, he could take a joke. He could bust his chops. He gives it, takes it. He's a police officer now in Missouri. So, he's gone through some training there. He's in great shape. Again, just he's a 99, right? So he's 25 years old. Like you need some youth. And, Ethan could be his dad, you need some young guys on the team. And Nick's great player. And another one just really happy to have him on the team.
Yeah, he played unbelievable in Buenos Aires too, so definitely well deserving. All right, and now we have the team captain from the World Championships and World Games. We have Travis No from the Palma Labeta Golden Knights. Obviously, you've coached them plenty of times. One of the best players in the game. His skating, his shooting, his patience, everything. So, tell us why Travis No's back on this roster and what he brings to the team.
Love that picture, by the way. What a great picture, huh? I mean, that's Ross Detman shot right there, I guess. The best in the business, catching that one with the blood. And
that and Siggy's winning, I think 2021. Siggy's like nose. That unbelievable.
Rob taped him up, didn't you? Didn't you tape him up and
that was the Team Snipers equipment manager. So I was in the locker room wiping it off, putting some tape on there, and they went out and they won a PAMA Pro Championship. So
Hey, every little guy, if
there you go.
If we went out rings, you would have got one for that.
Yeah.
Now Travis epitomizes everything that you want for Team USA, right? He's a great player. He's great for the sport, loves the game, very charismatic, very focused. He's dialed in. He takes a lot of pride on being on Team USA, being the captain of Team USA. And what I didn't know about Travis when I first time I coached Travis was in Slovakia in 2017 IIHF. I was the assistant coach with Joe Cook, and we asked Travis to be captain, and it was his first time being captain. And then he was captain in 19 in Barcelona. He was captain in Alabama at World Games. And I didn't realize, how great of a captain he is. So good at bringing the guys together, not leaving anyone out. Setting up like cool little things for the guys to do every day, like wiffle ball games or volleyball games, go for a skate here, let's go get a bite to eat together. And just the way he kept everyone together is just amazing. Like he's a great captain, great natural goal scorer. He's that big, tall, lanky body that, you talk about using the speed on a bigger rink. Like this is going to be a big advantage to him being a bigger rink, I think. He's had to adjust his game on the smaller rinks. You see that game-winning goal pass to Siggy at World Games. That was one of the best goals in roller hockey history. He was using someone else's stick. I'm sure you guys heard this story, but he broke his stick on the bench and he grabbed someone else's that was like 6 inches too short, and he went out there and made that pass with that stick.
He's using a 6-inch shorter stick all the time, I guess. So.
Exactly. So yeah, he's just another guy good on the penalty kill up top, play on the power play, good face-off guy, battles, really cares. And yeah, just love having him. He's the best.
Big glue guy that has the skill to go along with it. So definitely good selection there. All right, so moving on to the defense. In my opinion, probably best player in the game, PJ DiMartino. Everything from his skating, his goal scoring ability, and probably most most overlooked is his feistiness on the rink. He is a pain to play against. He's going to body up. He's not going to let you get away with anything easy. So tell us a little bit about New York native PJ DiMartino.
Yeah, I mean, I know PJ since he's 7, 8 years old. When I used to run Rapid Fire Arena before I started running State Wars, he was a little rat at the rink there, and just awesome player. 2A, controls the game as good as anyone. His skating's incredible. He's a guy. He's not a big guy, but he probably plays like he's 250. Like he goes in the corners and the boards, and he comes out with the puck 99% of the time, I would say. And another guy, a winner, strong, tough. You know, we missed him big time in Buenos Aires, I felt, going in. And you saw it. Just can do everything. And just he deserves to be on Team USA as much as anyone, and he'll be a player on this team for a long time. Just like you said, definitely one of the best players in the game.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, not much more to say about him there. He's one of those perfect players. Now, here's the picture that Rob was referencing here.
Yeah, my tape job there.
Perfect tape job.
Nice nose tape job there. I mean, that kind of describes Siggy in a nutshell, right? He's another guy who's willing to do anything to win a game. And, you know, though he, a lot of people, I think, pride him on his skating ability too. I think one of the things that, like, from playing with him that I didn't really know much about is how good he is with his stick defensively. Like, it's always in the right lane. He's another one who could strip you from behind and you won't even hear him coming. So obviously you coach him with the snipers. He's, one of your go-to guys on the snipers. He's played on this team for plenty of years. Tell us a little bit about Siggy.
Yeah, I mean, I could spend an hour talking about this guy.
Newton.
Talk about that fountain of youth that Eton's found. I think they got one in Siggy's house too. To think that he's, 37 years old or whatever he is, and he plays like he's 25. Doesn't age out there. I said on a podcast a few years ago, I don't know if it was you guys, someone had asked me if you can clone one player, who's the guy? And I said it was him. If I said earlier, you can't win with, 4 goal scorers or 10 goal scorers on your team. I think you could win every championship if you had 12 Nathan Sigmans on your team.
100%.
He does everything really well. He's, doesn't have the greatest shot in the world. That's his knock, I guess. He's not going to blow one by the goalie, but he gets in tight. He could pop it upstairs. He's got those soft hands. He scored the game winner at World Games, obviously, in the gold medal game. But his passing is incredible. I can make an argument that he's, a top 2 or 3 best passer in the game. Makes everyone better. He hockey IQ is off the charts. His defensive side of the game, like you mentioned, Anthony, his stick, he uses a stick that's long. It gets in the way of everything. He's battler, never opens his mouth. I don't think I've ever even heard the guy complain to a referee. A guy could have him in a headlock, slam him down, whatever. He's going to battle, come out with pucks. Great team guy, great locker room guy. Did a great job as a captain in Buenos Aires with the guys. And, he's just, he's another guy. He plays overseas, so he's on his skates every day. He plays in that league out there. So he's always playing with the smaller nets on the smaller rinks. They just won the French Cup. They just won. Yep. So he's just, if you can model anyone to say, hey, this is what you want in a roller hockey player, I think, Siggy's definitely one of those guys.
And to that point, one of the things that may be a little bit of an X factor is that he's playing against a lot of these Czechs, French, Spanish players, right? So he knows maybe someone who's not as well recognized. He say, yo, Tim, this guy, watch out, he's a shooter. This guy's really good at, whatever it is. So he's a guy that can almost be a lending hand to the coaching staff as well, because he's playing against these guys year round. So I thought that was really cool that he knew every single person. And I think everyone internationally just admires him as well. So
yeah, he's like a little mini coach. And him and PJ DiMartino are similar in, I don't think there's anybody that's as good on their edges as those guys. Like the way they turn in little spaces and stuff like that. Like try to do that, you'll break your ankle. The way they do it is just pretty crazy, But yeah, just great player all around.
Yep. Perfect. All right. So moving on to the next one, the second DiMartino on the team, Joey DiMartino of the Tour Roadrunners. Joey made his debut. What was it in the World Games, right? In Alabama was his first crack at Team USA at the senior men's level. So another New Yorker that very close to home. You've watched him since he had the mullet at age 8. He was running around playing 9 divisions. He played, I swear, Joey played in every tournament, whether it was like a tournament in New Jersey, like just for local teams. This kid played in every tournament growing up. So
Yeah.
another kid who's on his skates nonstop, plays overseas. So, we know Joey's a great player. So what was like the first thing, when you first added him to the team, what did you see in Joey that you're like, you know what, he's ready to make this next jump up into the senior division?
Yeah, I think the speed, he could be arguably the fastest player on the team. So, you need to have some speed on the team, that youthfulness, that jump that, you just don't have when you're older. And he's got that. And he's another one now, he's playing all the time and, overseas, and he's ripping it up. He practices, he's disciplined. He's not a partier or someone that's getting in trouble or anything. He's very focused on the game. He goes overseas, he's all business the whole time he's there. He loves to score. He loves to play. Good defensively. Good two-way player. You could throw him up, you throw him back. You could put him out there on the kill, on the power play. Another guy could do everything. Yeah, it's funny when I worked at Rapid Fire, 2002, 2003, those years. He was only like 3-4 years old. He used to be down at the rink watching PJ, and I'd be out on the mat outside the rink, just passing a puck back and forth with this little mullet, a little ball, a tennis ball going back and forth. And to think that I'm coaching him on Team USA now it's pretty crazy thinking about it. But yeah, he's another guy that'll be a future probably captain on this USA team down the road. Just another great player.
Yep, another guy leads by example too on the rink. All right, so moving on to the shot blocking specialist himself from CarShield, won PAMA Pro last year, was a huge part of that win. So Corey Hodge making his way onto this year's team. His defensive ability is probably the thing that stands out most about him. But another thing that you're probably going to touch on is his leadership ability. So tell us what led you to the decision of bringing Haji back on the team.
Yeah, I mean, you win MVP of the PAMA Pro Invitational. It's hard to ignore, right? With so many great players, he's you need guys. I said earlier who could be in situations. So you say to yourself, okay, we're playing whoever, and it's 2-1 us with a minute left, or they get a power play with a minute left, and it's a tie game. Like, who are you putting on the rink in that situation to kill a penalty? And you need guys like that. You can't go out there and put 3 Travis Snows on the rink in that situation. You got to have guys that are just more defensive oriented players. And Corey's one of those guys, and there are a few guys we were contemplating these positions, and Corey is, again, he's won with CarShield. He's played overseas. He's a good leader. He's a guy that, kind of like PJ Kavaya had been like this kind of guy on Team USA with the snipers for me, that I could say, hey, you stay back and just block shots, let Nathan Sigmund do his thing, whatever. And you need guys that can do that kind of stuff and be willing to do that. And I think Corey's that guy, and it matters, and some games you don't need it, but in the big ones, you need those players that are willing to do those little things that are really big. And I'm excited to have Corey for the first time and see all that stuff firsthand.
I was just going to ask, is this the first time you've coached Corey in any kind of, event?
Yeah. First
Cool.
time. I think Corey and one more guy we'll get to, and Ethan would be the 3 that I've never coached before for Team USA.
And from playing with Hodge, a couple like tournaments locally and stuff like that, he's another great leader. One of those guys who he'll speak up when he needs to speak up, and when he says something, everyone listens. So another good guy, which is good to have all these leaders in there, just so if anyone's down in the game or having a rough one, they could be those guys that pick them back up, and he's the exact type of player that will do that for you. All right, so moving on to, I love Max. We've talked about him extensively over the past few months. He's just been an absolute beast. And I think he's a guy that for the Roadrunners, he's always been the guy. Him and Joey have always been 2 of those guys that they play 95% of the game. I think he's even stepped up another level in the past couple of years with just his poise with the puck and everything. So obviously you see a lot in Max as well, because he's from the East Coast here. So tell us about Halvey and what got him on the team. I think his first was Buenos Aires as well. So
yeah, and demerit to Rob, he's from New Jersey, not New York, so we got to fix that down there, Rob.
Well, technically, he plays a lot in New York.
Yeah, I apologize.
Something we could talk about.
It's funny. He originally was in Florida, and I still remember when he was a kid, we'd pick him on the team, the '98 Florida team, which was a very good team. You know, Souter and Nathan Smith, who was a great player on that team, and he was one of those kids we'd put on, and the coach would be like, really? You know, he's not ready for this and stuff like that. And I'd be like, he's making the team, you know. So he was a guy at one point that they didn't even want on the team, you know, when he was little, which is so funny because now he's one of the best in the game. But yeah, Max is he's just growing before our eyes, right? Like, you know, if you asked me this question 7, 8 years ago, I'd be like, oh, Max is a good player, you know, and move on. You know, now Max has really stepped it up. He's along with Tyler Kraft, I think one of the smartest hockey IQs in the game. Max, you know, Max makes the right play with the puck 99% of the time. You know, he keeps it simple. You know, there's some guys, even on this team, there's some guys that maybe try to do a little too much at times. Max is not that guy. He's going to move the puck, make the right play, scores big goals. I know he went out to Norwich Winter Nationals. He was probably the best player in that tournament out there. He's getting better and better. He plays all the time. He loves it. He's another guy, like I mentioned with Joey. They just love the game. He's not going overseas to just party, and you know he's going there to win. And he's just such a good all around player. He's solid defensively, really good offensively, and just another guy that I love going to battle with because I don't want to say he's underrated, but I don't know if his name's out there worldwide yet. But I think after World Championship in Italy, his name's gonna be coming up a lot more. I'm expecting big things from Max.
Yeah, he's definitely he's such a good person too, and I think that goes a long way with a team like this where he's a guy that he's another one. He'll bring everyone together. He's got like these funny jokes. He's always got these one-liners and like kind of like dry sense of humor, but it's funny because it brings everyone together in those moments. And that's, you know, you're building a family here at the end of the day. And he's one of those guys who's going to be a pivotal piece to the team and building that family.
Absolutely.
All right. And then now this is another guy that I have such praise for just because he's battled some injuries over the past few years. Scotty Savage making his way. I think this is his first time on Team USA, if I'm correct here. And I assume this is who you were foreshadowing with. You had never coached before. So tell us about Scotty Savage, what you've seen in his game the past few years playing for PAMA.
Rob, another demerit on the spelling of California there, bud.
California.
Long night.
I
don't know. Sorry, you're not from California.
If this was Dino and Scotty on Wheel Talk, I would expect maybe some errors, but not from you, Rob.
Sorry.
Listen, we usually have my wife. She was an editor. She usually reads everything for us. We didn't have a chance.
Hey, sometimes you have a bad shift. Sometimes you just have a bad shift. So I'm just gonna, this is just one bad shift. We'll get over this. You know what, Anth, you didn't help me check this.
I didn't see it either, to be honest. That's why I have Kimmy check everything I do. So anyway, back to Scotty Savage. Tell us what you've seen. Obviously, he had some big goals at PAMA in Detroit 2 years ago. So unfortunately, was able to play last year due to injury. But tell us what you see with him.
Yeah, I love Scotty. I always have. Another, he played Division I hockey, played the American Hockey League. Obviously, an incredible hockey player. Big boy, needs some size on defense. For years we had Bernie back there, who was our big guy back there, strong, physical, battling with guys like the Czechs or some of the bigger teams around the net, Canadians and stuff. You need that on D. Scotty's, that physical presence. He's a great skater. He's got a really good shot. And watching at Winter Nationals, I was real impressed with him. I think he won MVP in the tournament out there in the pro. He's had some injuries the last few years. He's bad luck with, I think it was his knee, then it was his finger last year, so he's battled some stuff, but now he's done with ice totally. He's focused on roller, and I'm expecting a lot from him back there. Another good leader, another good, really, talking to guys that have coached him, really coachable from what I've been told. Really good team guy, really good locker room guy. And another one I'm just excited to coach for the first time. So welcome addition for sure.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite people off the rink as well. He's just such a good guy. Always like asking how you're doing. He's just one of those guys that you love to have on your team, and probably one of the guys you love to have on your team, not play against, right? So that's what you're looking for too, is like a team, someone for a team like the Czechs is going to be like, oh, this guy's a prick to play against. So that's definitely a good pickup. And that, I mean, just adds to the PK, like not to get too into it, but like your PK with Hodge and Savage, they're two big bodies. Like good luck finding the net with those two towers standing out there. So another good shot blocker as well.
Yeah, man. How do you not add a guy whose last name is Savage, right? It's just no brainer.
Perfect. All right. So moving along here.
Got the goalies now. I'm gonna get ahead of this one. I'm pretty sure I got this one right, but Chinny, hopefully it's not New York because I know it's Pennsylvania. So
Let's see. You got it.
He
And he
spelled it
spelled
right too.
Pennsylvania right. Yeah, it's my home state there. So his
I can
his
see you
last
spell
name
Machinsky wrong, not Pennsylvania. So
yeah, I was gonna say his last name might be the harder one to spell there, but Chinny, I get to see a lot of Chinny plays at my rink in our draft league and stuff like that. He's a guy that he's like funny because in our draft league, like he'll just show up a minute before the game and just go out and post a shutout, like 30 saves in the men's league game, which is huge. Like he's just that guy. Like he just is a winner, right? At the end of the day. So you've coached him plenty of times. Another guy from the East Coast that you've seen a lot, especially during the winter events with Winter Wars and stuff like that. So tell us a little bit about Chinny, what you've seen him, what you've seen, how you've seen him develop over the years.
yeah, you said winner, and I think that's the biggest compliment to Chinny. He's a big game goalie. He's a winner, but Black Ice, he came out to Barcelona. We had him and Dwyer, and he played amazing in the gold medal game against the Czechs. Played awesome there. Then he came out to World Games, and he played great there as well with a tandem. And great team guy. He's going to get along with his counterpart in goal. Zero ego. Really, when I called him and spoke to him about it, really excited, really thankful. Just a really good person, like you said. And, Black Ice, every time they're in that game, even, you look at State Wars last year, our game against Carshield was like a 15-14 game where, they played Black Ice and it was a 2-1 overtime game. They lost and, Chinny was in goal, right? He just doesn't give up a lot of goals, keeps his team in it every game. And he's just a really big game goalie. And you need that, obviously. So, excited to have him back in the red, white, and blue.
Yeah, I think you said it best. He's a winner at the end of the day, and he can steal a game for you. And he's another one. We're gonna get to the final goaltender here and the final player on the list, but he is such a good teammate, and he works so well with Reds. They've played together, and in the World Games and in Alabama. So obviously bringing Reds back, you've had them for Double I's, you've had them for USAR or Team USA with the USAR side of things now. Probably one of the most prolific goalies in the sport. Everyone knows Reds. He's won countless championships. He's a master of his game as well. He works on his game all the time. So going to your backbone here with Reds, tell us a little bit about, what you saw in him and why he's still on the team.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he was a sniper with us for I think 10 years, right? So it's still weird seeing him in a different jersey, looking at that graphic. He was our guy. Team USA came out to World Games. You play against some really good goalies there. The kid Frodel with the Czechs, and you want a goalie who can just, be that intimidating on the other end of it. And his size, his composure. Those smaller nets, a body like his. I mean, look at the size of those pads, to have a guy like that. Another winner, he's done it since he's a kid in roller hockey at every level. He's on his skates a lot, teaching, on ice and whatnot now. He's a big goaltending instructor. And, he just wins wherever he goes. Even last year at State Wars, he was hurt and didn't play, and they still won just by him being on the bench. He's just that guy that just seems to win no matter what. And, always proud to have him on the team. We had him in Slovakia when I coached in IIHF, and we won there. And no brainer.
Yeah, definitely. And he's another one who I think has a little bit of, you don't really see this in too many goalies, but almost a leadership quality to him, just like goes about his business. When he needs to say something, he says it, right? And I've talked to him a few times about that. He kind of reminds me of like Luongo a little bit, and like his presence that he brings and what Luongo used to bring to the Canucks back in the day, being one of the only goaltending captains in the NHL. So definitely another good leader on the team with some veteran presence. And then him and Chinny, I think, are just like they work so well together. I think that's huge, like you said, because both of the guys are going to play depending on the temperatures, their air conditioning. Do you need to split games? Like all that kind of stuff. We had to do it in Buenos Aires because it was so hot in there. We were splitting games, and Clay and Keith were able to kind of work well with each other and feed off each other, which is good to have Chinny and Reds in that position where they can feed off each other and, you know, perform to the best of their abilities.
Yeah, they've played together before, so I know they could get along really well and just mesh well, which is great and important.
Yeah. All righty. So, and then lastly, tell us a little bit about yourself and Greg Thompson. So, obviously, you guys are the coaches here along with Dan Maxwell, but this is just a great picture. I think Rob will throw up there. So,
yeah, the guy on the left, he's awesome. No, you know, obviously having Greg is a huge asset to the team on the coaching staff. You know, he was captain for many years of Team USA. He's played internationally for years. He lived overseas at one point playing internationally, so he's very familiar with the international game. He's, you know, it's funny. We'll talk to coaches on other teams and whatnot, or guys that played when he played against and had relationships with and whatnot. So, you know, it's just great to be able to bounce things off him about the game. And, you know, he was a defenseman in the games. Talk about the defensive side of the game. So he'll usually run the D. I was always more of a forward, like, so I'll run more of the forward guys. You know, we work well together that way. And, you know, because we work together every day, it just gives us time to talk about this stuff and go over the team. And we're definitely, you know, we share a brain a little bit that way. We're on the same mindset most of the time, but at least, you know, we have a good enough relationship where if he disagrees with me, you know, even though he knows I'll probably not listen to him, he knows he could tell me, and we can go back and forth about it and move on. And yeah, so just a great tandem, I think, there. And Dan Maxwell this year too with us, who's coaching the junior men's, and he was going to stick around a little longer, and we invited him to come on the bench with us as well. And he's a good buddy of mine, and just have another guy that can just, you know, be a voice of, you know, after games, just talking about things, and someone you trust, and maybe seeing something where not, and just be able to have a relationship where you could have an open dialogue about the game. And also helps. He'll be there earlier than us with the junior men, so he can tell us all the little ins and outs of the area before we get there. Like a little scout, which is great for us. Tell us, you know, where the best bars and restaurants are, and you know, little things about the rink before we get there. So it's great.
Yeah, he helped us with us in Argentina. He was the one telling us like what kind of floor it was, you know, what rink was which, right? He was one of those guys that was, you know, kind of messaging us, letting us know about, you know, hey, that's a, you know, they're using an Argentinian floor, the boards are this, they're netting on one rink, glass on the other. So good to have him out there. And he's a West Coast guy, which I think is cool from the whole development program side of things, that you have, you know, a couple East Coast coaches, and now you have a West Coast coach as well. So it's spreading out the wealth, and he's going to have eyes on the guys, you know, like Eton, like Travis, all Scotty, all the guys playing on the West Coast. So it's good to have another set of eyes out there leading up to the tournament.
Absolutely. Excited for having him.
All right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Rob.
I was going to say, you know, leading out to this, I know you guys do play the Czechs a lot, but is there one team in particular that you look forward to playing going to the World Championships with this roster?
I mean, no one in particular. You know, obviously excited to play Italy again after they beat us. That's just the competitive side of you. You want to play them again because of that, and just kind of bad taste in my mouth of how that game went. So look forward to playing a team like that again. But the Czechs are, you know, one of the best teams in the world, and the world champions again. So just to be able to have another chance to play them would be great. And, you know, the Canadians are always fun to play, and the French, you know, the Spaniards are always, they come out hard. And, you know, the Italians, it'll be their home country, so it'll be really, really loud. You know, last time we were there, you know, when we played the Argentina team, the place was crazy how loud it got and whatnot. So that was really fun. But, you know, all these countries, you realize when you go there, and sadly, probably more than us, how much it means to them, like how much, you know, representing their country, and how people get into it so much, and really gets you going to be there for the United States, just to witness that and be a part of it. So I'm always excited just to play anyone, because it just means so much to them, which makes the game exciting.
Yeah, I feel like each game's different just because every style is different from each country. You know, you can play, you know, Italy to Czech to even France. They're all going to have a different style coming at you. So, yeah, it's the challenge of it.
Yeah, to me, always the biggest key is, and this is what hurt us in that one game we lost too is, just getting the lead. When you got to play from behind in these tournaments, it's so different. It's difficult in any hockey game to play from behind, but when you play internationally and usually with the rink's small and the net's smaller and the refs call a lot of stuff and teams are sitting in a box back there and just blocking shots and not going up with the puck, it's frustrating and it's hard. If you fall behind by a couple of goals, it's difficult. It's almost like a soccer game. You fall behind by a couple, you must turn the TV off. So for us, getting the lead, is huge, and being able to play our game and controlling the game, our style is always what we want to do. And I really, every year you go into us going, what do I think of our roster? And you never know until it happens. I'm real excited for the roster and the team. I think we got a great team. I think we got some great chemistry. I'm sure the lines will change from what I think they're going to be right now, but on paper right now, I'm really excited for. And I think if every player brings their A game, which is what I expect, I think we should come home, very happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Tim, you and the rest of the committee have put together a hell of a roster. I think, you had mentioned it. It's a hard process, right? There's, even the alternates, right? Which they've all been informed. They're all players that are very capable and very, able to play on this team as well. So it's not an easy task putting a team like this together, especially when you're competing for a world championship. So just so everyone knows, the senior men, and I don't think this has changed at all, but dates are September 14th to September 23rd. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, I think we fly out on the 14th, so I think we start playing on the 17th. I think we actually play the 17th to the 22nd are the actual dates of playing. And hopefully they'll have a stream up and things like that for people to watch from home. That's always another thing that frustrates you with the World Championships. They don't do a better job with that, promoting the game, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully,
luckily I was there last.
Hopefully, game stream people to watch and it's on.
Yeah, well,
what's that?
I said, luckily I was there last time, part of the reason I got in, right? Because I can stream some games during the process as well. But it's well, anything, moving forward, with Team USA, obviously we're working closely with the National Development Program here to make sure that we get as much coverage and as much eyes on this program as possible. So, we first and foremost thank you for hopping on. I know it's a Friday. Kids are coming home from school and stuff, and right in the middle of the workday here, you got Winter Wars next week, so I'll be seeing you there, and we look forward to some more stuff in the future. Just from the RDN side of things, we're also going to be doing some player interviews too from the players that were selected. So it'd be cool because there's a couple new faces on the team, so I would love to get some of those players, like you said, Savage, get Eton on here again, talk about what it means to represent you at Team USA. So obviously, thank you for your time, and we appreciate everyone who hopped on the live stream. Watch us today. Rob, great job on the tech side of things. You ran the whole thing beautifully.
Except for the
it's all right.
Yeah, little errors.
So appreciate everyone hopping on, and Tim, again, thanks.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Appreciate everything you guys do for the sport.
Yeah, absolutely, Tim. Look forward to seeing you at State Wars 20. And, good luck to you and Team USA. Hopefully we'll talk before then, go into the World Championships. Hopefully we can get another interview at State Wars or something like that. So, but yeah, thank you again for your time. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Yep. Thanks, boys. Talk to you soon.
We'll see you.
All right, later.
All righty, Anth. Well, great interview. If you didn't catch all of this, we'll be on YouTube. You can rewatch it. We're going to put it also on Spotify and all of our podcasting as well, too. So, that was, thank you, Tim, for coming on. I think we'll definitely get Greg on, too. We got to get Greg on as well, do an interview with him. And then for everyone listening still, we have another banger of a pod releasing this week. On Sunday, we're going to be doing an interview with Darren Goodwin. So we're going to do interview with Darren, owner of Narch, and also, as you heard, he is involved with the National Development team, coaching the junior team as well. So we're pumped for that as well, too. Just kind of giving you guys, all the info you need on the Team USA. Really, I wouldn't say rebirth of USARs, but just really putting more, just putting more, effort into it and actually making it structured. So you see a lot of countries that actually already have that. So it is nice to see, the best of the best in the sport taking, head of that too, so it's really
Exactly.
awesome to see all these, the tournament directors, the coaches, and everyone being involved, and the women's side of things too, with, you have Laura, Allie, and Celeste too. So
Yeah.
you have these people that are involved with the sport.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
USA Hockey is headed in a correct direction, and it's great to see.
Yes, sir. So yeah, again, everyone still on here. Thanks for hopping on the stream, and we'll be back with you very shortly.